What's up, guys? Guess what? That's right, it's another movie review.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV. Did I get delivered here? Somebody tell me.
Anyways, before I start this video, I just want to say shout out to DogClaw2020 on Instagram. I haven't drank alcohol since 2018, but when life hands you a Mad Dog 2020 and a White Claw, you kinda have no choice. Here's to being 2 years sober. That's good. So I was supposed to make this video like back in October, but tell me why my mom said Bob Faggot wasn't funny. I don't have a mom now. The other reason I put it off for so long is because I wanted to give Rotten Tomatoes a chance to correct their mistake before I sue them for false advertising, or advertisement. Am I already drunk? But if you've seen my video I made on the Creep movies, then you know Rotten Tomatoes is full of shit. No respectable company that reviews movies has Toy Story 4 as their #1 comedy movie. That's like saying Brokeback Mountain is the #1 Western movie. Either you didn't see it, or you think all cowboys are gay.
So what we got now is Brokeback Mountain!
This movie, however, is just straight up gay. It's called Manson Family Vacation, and for some reason it has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is weird because the audience score is half that. But I'll go more into that later. Manson Family Vacation is about these two brothers who are complete opposites who come together to go on this Charles Manson themed field trip around California. Don't be fooled by the title or the movie poster though, because other than seeing some YouTube clips from some of his interviews, that's all the Charles Manson we get to see.
Everything I do is always brand new.
They also can't seem to figure out what genre this movie belongs to. Google says drama thriller, IMDb says comedy drama thriller, and Wikipedia just says comedy. Out of all those three, I can tell you that all three of them are wrong. It may be a drama, but there is no thrill or comedy in this movie. If this is a comedy, then Space Jam is a love story.
And once I've done all that, I want to play baseball just like you, Dad.
Baseball.
But anyways, the movie starts out with this hilarious joke that gets you wondering why this movie isn't ranked the #1 comedy.
Also, Pat McGroin called. He said that he had to push back his meeting.
Pat my groin? This is my brother. He's playing a joke on you.
And after about 3 minutes of nothing, our friend Nick here lets us know that he doesn't even know why his brother Conrad's coming to visit. I think it's because you're filming a movie.
I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know where we're gonna put him.
Well, we can put him in your office.
I want to work this weekend.
We then get to see Nick and his wife have a way too realistic conversation about his brother coming. Like, imagine your parents talking about a family member you hated coming over. And if you can imagine that, you don't need to watch this scene.
It'll be the first time we've spent real quality time with him since probably our wedding.
Oh my God.
Nick then hears something outside and sees that his back door's open and automatically knows it's his brother because I guess white people just feel that safe at night.
He's in here when we were kids. He would sneak into the house before I got home from school. He scared the fuck out of me. It's happening right now.
And after hoping it was Charles Manson who broke into the house, it turns out it's just his brother Conrad who looks like Charles Manson had sex with a Bob's Burgers character.
You didn't shit your pants, didn't you?
After that calming introduction to his brother, we find out during dinner that he's writing his second book, he sold all his things, and his brother couldn't be more happy.
No, it's not irresponsible. This is the time in your life where you're supposed to be untethering yourself. You know, when you're 40, you got to break free.
Funny thing is, I thought he was being serious until his wife called him out.
You're being sarcastic.
I'm not being mean.
You are being mean. You're being sarcastic and condescending.
You don't have anything to worry about, all right?
We also find out that Conrad has a job set up and he's just passing through like some pants among some traveling sisters. Or the pants are traveling, the sisters are... What am I talking about?
I have a job with an environmental organization in Death Valley.
Later that night, after Conrad offers to sleep outside because dudes named Conrad are fucking weird like that.
You want to come get set up in the office?
Why?
For sleeping?
Well, I decided to camp out there.
He tries to guilt trip his brother into taking the day off so they can go on that Charles Manson themed field trip.
You're acting so uptight. This is a thing people do.
No, they don't. No, this is the thing that weird conspiracy people do.
Solid argument, Nick, but he broke into your house to scare you with a knife. Either you go with him, or he's gonna fucking stab you.
Is the knife necessary?
You just shit your pants, didn't you?
So the next day, they're driving to the infamous Sharon Tate house, and as they're driving, Nick is for sure thinking, today is the day I die by the hands of my brother.
You know that if you got with them, they could probably cut your dick off too.
Right. That sounds very enticing.
So as they pull up to the house, Nick surprises Conrad with a camera and is like, maybe you want to turn this into an art project, because the first thing I think of when I visit a gruesome murder scene is, my brother, you should make an art project with this.
Yeah, maybe.
But instead of making this a moment to remember, he starts telling Nick all the gruesome details of what happened that fateful night.
And Tex starts stabbing him through the window, but he scooches back, puts his hands up, so Tex has to shoot him.
And because Conrad knows how to play it cool, he shows the utmost respect to the community that had to endure such tragedy.
Charles Manson!
God damn it.
Charles Manson!
He then, rightfully so, feels instant regret, and he's like, you know what, bro, let me make it up to you. No strings attached. Let me take you out to lunch. No strings attached.
Let me take you out to lunch, okay? I know a really good place.
But guess what? Remember when I said no strings attached? I lied, because Conrad doesn't just take his brother out to eat anywhere. He takes him to the exact booth Sharon Tate sat at before she went home to get fucking slaughtered by Tex and the girls.
This table that we're sitting at, this very same table, this is the same booth that they ate at before they went home that night.
Then, just when you thought this movie couldn't get any funnier, they start talking about how Conrad didn't go to their dad's funeral, and Conrad's like, well, it wasn't mandatory, was it?
Even if you're not going to go to the funeral for dad's sake, you could have come for mom.
Mom's way better off.
And they get into this argument that ends with Conrad being like, you need to smoke some weed, pussy.
I think we should smoke together. All right?
I am not going to smoke weed.
So now that Conrad has successfully drugged his brother, he's like, let's go to the La Bianca house now. And when they get there, this lady's like, you can fuck off. You look like Charles Manson with Down syndrome. And Nick's like, don't worry, we're the grandkids of the La Biancas. And she's like, oh, okay, I guess that's fine then.
You're the grandchildren?
And as they're inside the house, you're thinking, oh shit, here we go. They're gonna find Charles Manson's hidden map he found hid under the floorboard, and they're gonna go on some wicked Charles Manson treasure hunt. Well, none of that happens. All we get to see is Conrad take a selfie in the infamous kitchen, but is immediately caught.
Hey.
Who are you?
Who the fuck are you?
I'm sorry, I just...
He then gets chased out of the house, forcing his brother to follow him. They even stop in front of the house so the lady can tell him one last thing that makes Nick feel like shit, because when I run out of a house that I'm not supposed to be in, the first thing I do is stop in front of it so the lady can give me a fucking life lesson.
This is why we end up feeling like prisoners in our own home.
So because this movie is a comedy about Charles Manson, we now get to see Conrad talk about how much he hates his dad, and Nick argue with his wife until he decides to go to sleep.
Great. Okay. Can I have my pillow?
The next day, after Conrad accidentally shows Nick's son some pictures of dead bodies,
there's really cool pictures of dead people.
He's like, alright dog, it's time for you to leave, but don't worry, I'm still a pussy and will drive you to wherever you need to go because my wife told me to, even though you traumatized our son.
So, I'm gonna drive you out there, okay?
Okay.
So now they're driving through the desert looking for Conrad's place of employment, because that's the first place I look for a job at, in the middle of the fucking desert. And things are going smoothly until Conrad starts swerving like a drunk driver and gets pulled over.
All the things that we've done in life.
Fuck! And again, I'm like, alright, here's where it goes down. We're gonna see a high-speed chase and someone murders a cop. Turns out they only make us think that for a split second after Conrad says he can't stop.
We'll pull over.
Dude, I can't.
Why?
But then the very next second, he proceeds to pull over, and I'm like, alright, he still had weed on him, maybe that'll go somewhere. Nope, it didn't. Conrad does end up in jail, but it's only because he doesn't know how to respect a police officer that's giving him every chance to work with him.
You do not have a driver's license. Is that what I understand?
No. Are you gonna give me a big lecture now?
After that nonsense, their journey continues, and they end up at this abandoned house that Conrad has the address to.
Definitely it.
I don't think anybody's here, man.
Inside the house, they find a random picture of the guy from Saw and an address on a sticky note, and they're like, well, I guess we have to go back there now. So they do, and it leads them back to the city to this random bar. Is this where we finally see Charles Manson? Doubt it. When they do go into the bar, they see the guy from the picture, but he has other plans, like driving away, because extending this scene is exactly what this movie needed.
Come on, he's getting away.
When they do finally catch up to him, he's about to kill Conrad until he finds out that he's the guy who's been riding Charles Manson in jail.
You're Captain Morgan?
Yes.
Charlie fucking talks about you all the time. every day.
Then after some brotherly chit-chat about what's going on, Jigsaw pops in and is like, yo, Conrad, let me show you something real quick, handsome.
Conrad, come here. I want to take a walk with you. There's something I want to show you.
And they start following this guy through the desert, and he takes him to the bus Charles Manson owned, and you'll never guess who isn't there. That's right, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, he helped a lot of people.
After that, all three of them end up at a house party where Jigsaw lets Nick know that his adopted brother Conrad is actually one of Charles Manson's retarded babies.
See that baby? That's your brother.
Conrad then gets a call from Charles Manson himself, but this movie is so cool that they don't even get someone to play the part of Charles Manson's voice, so for all we know, he could be talking to Betty fucking White.
Hi. Yeah, good to talk to you.
After that, Nick gets fed up with his reject brother and heads home.
Dad was right about you.
While that's happening, Conrad shaved his head and is planning on visiting Charles Manson in jail, convinced that he's his son, and that's his dad. Not the Jigsaw guy, but Charles Manson.
You're going in there? He's my dad. You gotta see this through, all right?
And that's how the movie ends. There was no Charles Manson, they weren't on vacation, and they were barely even a family. So I'm sure you can understand my disappointment. I was even more disappointed when I seen these reviews these so-called top critics left. John DeFore, a top critic from the Hollywood Reporter, said, "Funny and modestly charming." John, stop fucking with me, you know that's not true. Katie Walsh of The Playlist says, "Unexpected and charming. Manson Family Vacation is one ride you'll want to catch. If that ride you're catching is a car going straight off a cliff, then yeah, that's pretty accurate." And it doesn't even make sense because some of these people rank the movie 3 out of 5 but still gave it a fresh rating. That's not how that works, sir. I don't get a 7 out of 10 on a test and the teacher's like, yeah, the answers were a 7 out of 10, but the work was an 11. A+. Like, you gave it a 3 out of 5. That's not fresh, alright? That's 60%. That makes no sense that you could rate a movie one way, but then be like, yeah, it's still alright when you're ranking them on a scale of fucking tomatoes. Anyways, guys, that's it. If you think I left out any good parts to make my videos seem better, well, you can watch it for yourself. It's still on Netflix, wasting space. Until next time, peace.
L7, baby, L7, know the essence of our presence.